Without a doubt, one of my favorite things about this YouTube channel is making videos that were requested by you guys. That's why I always try to engage you in comments. I always ask for you to leave any suggestions or any requests for new videos in the comments down below. So please continue to do that. Thank you so much to one of you guys who recommended for me to shoot this video about Syrah or Shiraz. And quite frankly, I have no idea why I still haven't made a video about Shiraz, because it's one of the most known and planted grapes in the entire world. It's one of my favorite grapes of all time. It's so versatile, it's so delicious, it's rich and just absolutely gorgeous. So it's about time we talk about Shiraz. So here's everything that you need to know. Now, I cover this in many other videos on my channel, but we can move forward and discuss this wonderful red grape varietal before we actually talk about the name, right? And what is the deal with Shiraz and Syrah, and which one is it? Is one incorrect and the other one correct? Nuh-uh, both of them are actually correct. So the name Syrah was the original one, and that's the one that's believed to be originated in the Rhône Valley in France. So we know this grape by two different names, Syrah and Shiraz. Syrah is the name that's used for that same grape in the Old World, we call it, specifically so coming from France. And Shiraz is the name for the same grape coming from the New World, Australia, New Zealand, Chile, USA, so anywhere else in the world essentially, but the Old World is known by the name of Shiraz. But it is indeed the same grape. Please don't get confused, just the name is different depending on where it comes from. It is not, however, only the name that differs depending on where it comes from. It's also the profile of the wine too, of the same grape varietal. So our Syrah that comes from the Old World, predominantly from France, is focusing on more elegant, restrained styles, while Shiraz, coming from New Zealand, Australia, or the New World, is really focusing on richer, fruitier expressions of the same grape varietal. For the sake of consistency, I am going to continue to call this grape Shiraz throughout this video. Now, one of my favorite things about Shiraz is just how bold it is. It really is big wine. So when talking about Shiraz, we have to cover its key characteristics. So color, aromas, and taste. So let's start with color. This is a good one. So with color, Shiraz is deep, it's dark purple, it's nearly black when it's young actually, and often has inky hues to it. So it's a really rich, dark wine, and that's once it's aged, it gets a little bit lighter and even tawny. Aromas. So here, think about really dark fruits, blackberries, plums, blueberries. It's really spicy too. So black pepper, clove, maybe anise, spices. It's really earthy as well. So we can taste some leather, we can taste some smoke. Tobacco flavors to Shiraz, and sometimes people even say bacon or bacon fat flavors to our Shiraz. I know it sounds crazy, but that's how rich this wine is. So tell me if you tried Shiraz and if you actually tasted any of these flavors in your Shiraz in the comments down below. Based on the key characteristics that I just described, you can already tell that it's a full-bodied, very rich wine, and it also can exhibit some velvety or robust tannins to it as well, depending on its style. So flavor wise, here we have a ton of dark fruits and a ton of spices all combined in a wonderful bold bouquet of flavors. When it comes to acidity and alcohol content, acidity usually varies from moderate to high in Shiraz, and alcohol content from medium to high. So right around 13.5% to 15% ABV. Let us dissect the regional styles of Shiraz, and we'll start with the Old World, or France specifically, where it's known by the name Syrah. Northern Rhône is the one to talk about here, and Syrah is the only red grape that's permitted to be grown in Northern Rhône. Famous regions there include Hermitage, Côte-Rôtie, and Cornas as well. And the style that comes out of Northern Rhône is Shiraz or Syrah that's elegantly structured. It's got earthy, peppery notes to it, and it's got a little bit less of that fruitiness that the New World Shiraz has. A lot of times from southern Rhône, we see some blends with Shiraz or Syrah, and oftentimes Châteauneuf-du-Pape actually has Shiraz in it. Now, when Shiraz from the New World is mentioned, we normally think Australia, and it's because it's by far the most popular grape grown in Australia. So when talking about Australian Shiraz, here we have a couple of places. Barossa Valley gives us very rich and bold, very fruit-driven Shiraz, chocolate and spice flavors to it. We have Hunter Valley, which is super popular as well for growing Shiraz. It's got a bit earthier Shiraz, I would say, medium body, a tad less fruit intensity to it. And then there's McLaren Vale as well. It's known for its velvety, kind of dark fruited Shiraz, and this one actually has some herbal undertones to it as well. So just trust me when I tell you, Australia produces some amazing Shiraz styles, and you owe it to yourself to try at least a couple of them from different valleys. Honorable mentions for our New World Shiraz go to the United States and South Africa. So when it comes to the United States, we have two main producers here, or two main growers, or I should say, two main regions that produce Shiraz, and that is California and Washington State. So with California, clearly, you know, it's way more south than Washington State. So California gives us lush, very fruit-forward Shiraz. It's got some ripe blackberry flavors and a ton of vanilla notes. California does not hesitate aging Shiraz in oak barrels too, so a ton of vanilla notes there. Now, Washington State is a little bit more structured. It definitely has some balance of fruit and earth flavors, some savory flavors to their Shiraz as well. So again, a bit of a cooler climate than California. So the wine structure will be a little bit different here. Now, South Africa, on the other hand, is just a chameleon to me, because you never quite know what you're going to get out of South African Shiraz, but it's always exciting. So here I would describe South African Shiraz as kind of a blend between the New World and the Old World. So it definitely has some smoky, peppery characteristics, some fruit-forward flavors to it as well. But at the same time, it's just a little bit more balanced than our Shiraz from Australia or, say, the US. When it comes to food pairings, try not to overwhelm your lighter dishes by pairing them with Shiraz. It's just so bold and flavorful and full-bodied of a wine that you don't want to lose the taste of your lighter dishes while pairing it with such a bold wine. So it's definitely meant to be paired with something bold, rich, and flavorful as well to kind of match its flavor profile too. Try a couple of these. So when we talk about meats, I say roasted beef, roasted lamb, grilled lamb, barbecue ribs, maybe venison. You know, all of those heavier, richer meats would be perfect with Shiraz. Spicy dishes can take it too. Bold spices, some Indian curries maybe, something like that. Cheeses, I'd go for heavier cheeses, so sharp blue cheese would be great. Aged cheddar, Gouda cheese, and if you're still insisting on some vegetarian options with your Shiraz, you know, I mean, that's cool, but I'd go for something heavier as well. Go for maybe like an eggplant Parmesan or eggplant lasagna that's at least a little heavier on like oils, or maybe go for like a mushroom risotto. So again, heavier styles of vegetarian dishes, and you'll be good to go. Winemaking techniques is allegedly what makes Shiraz some of the most popular grape varietal in the world. So here, aging capabilities are pretty high, I would say. You can absolutely drink Shiraz young. It will have a very different flavor profile to it, but the aging part of it is great. It's very often aged in oak barrels, and that definitely gives it flavors of vanilla, spices, and smoke, leather, chocolate sometimes. So it only kind of enhances the richness that the grape already has on its own. And then blends. Shiraz is great on its own, like coming from the Rhône Valley, from northern Rhône specifically. But then southern Rhône, for example, blends it with a ton of different stuff. So a couple of common grapes are Grenache, for instance, Mourvèdre in Rhône blends. And then in Australia, for example, Cabernet Sauvignon is very frequently used to be blended with our Shiraz. So different options here with your Shiraz. Very unique, very versatile grape. So overall, an incredibly cool grape varietal to try if you haven't yet. I will also say that Shiraz is an awesome grape also because it's actually a parent grape for several other varieties such as Petite Shiraz or Petite Syrah and Durif, for instance. So definitely try those out. They're kind of little babies of this wonderful grape Syrah here. And if you made it so far in the video, you guys, please make sure to give it a like, subscribe to this channel, and give me some suggestions of the wine videos that you'd like for me to make. This one was a suggestion and it was a success. So thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, cheers everyone.